Alright guys, today we got a good show for you. Today we have Alec Willis and Jake Burns, a part of St. Louis Cardinals minor league system. Thanks for coming on, man.
All good.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, cheers.
Yeah, so I don't know whoever wants to take it first, but I'm kind of interested like how you guys got into baseball. You guys both come from different baseball backgrounds, so just kind of like talk about that.
Yeah, I'm Jake Burns. I am from Sydney, Australia, and just fell in love with the game from a young age. I was like 4, and I picked it up at school and started playing then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm Alec Willis. I'm from Colorado, and kind of the same thing. Like my dad didn't really play baseball as a kid, so it wasn't like passed down from him. Same thing. Played t-ball, just like rec sports with the kids in the neighborhood, and then just kind of kept going from there.
Yeah, so like what's like the baseball experience and getting to this point? I know like you had high school was a big thing. I know you played Little League, and then when what was your guys' process like?
I mean, it's kind of like in America at least. You kind of go through your coach pitch and then your kid pitch when you turn like 9 or 10. And then once I reached 10, that was kind of like you can call it my travel ball start. And so we're trying to start playing tournaments when you're 10, up until when you're 14, kind of going out of state, and just kind of like learning the game, really the fundamentals. And then really like once you hit 14 to 18, that's kind of when things kind of get into perspective, like, okay, am I good enough to play in college? Do I want to play in college? And then kind of like your 16 to 18 that's when your recruiting starts, and then just going from there.
Was there like a moment when you knew college or professionals could have been an option for you?
I always knew I wanted to go play pro ball and be in the big leagues ever since I was a little kid. I went and watched the Rockies, grew up loving Troy Tulowitzki. I thought I was going to be playing shortstop in pro ball instead of being a pitcher. But yeah, I think I always knew I wanted to go. I always knew I wanted to go to D1. That kind of started like 7th, 8th grade year when people started learning about colleges. My brother's 2 years older, so he was looking at colleges at that time. And I guess they really got put into perspective my sophomore year. He goes tryouts my sophomore year. That's kind of like when I hit 90 for the first time, and I was like, oh shoot, like this could be a reality. And that's a cool experience because I don't know, like calls start coming in, and you're like, okay, I kind of know where I'm at now. I can go live out my dream and play college baseball, and then hopefully get to the professional level after that. But yeah, I'd say after I hit 90 for the first time, I was like, okay, how can I put all my time into this?
Yeah. So like Jake, how did you get what was your experience going through, I guess, the ranks? It's a little bit different than this.
Yeah, so like in Australia there's no high school baseball. So you kind of join a Little League team, and I was fortunate, like our Little League team was really good. Like we had a lot of good players, and I wasn't very good until I was about 12. And it's not I was good, I was just like a lot bigger and stronger than everyone. So our team was the best Little League team in Australia, won that tournament, went to the World Series, and saw what playing baseball in other countries was like, which is insane because I come from a country where there's maybe only a couple thousand play in the whole country, to then you get here and you see the American kids and every kid on the team 1 through 9 on the lineup is a stud,
Yeah.
And then you play against Venezuela and Dominican Republic, same thing. So started there, and I did really well, and I kind of thought, wow, I could maybe take this game a long way. A couple of years went by, and I played for Australia again in Panama in a World Cup, and that's when I started getting phone calls from a lot of pro teams saying, hey, we want to make you an offer. You're eligible when you're 16. So as an international player, when you turn 16 that year is when you can sign professionally. Unlike high school, where
Were you ever looking at colleges or no?
Not really, because I got introduced to the pro stuff so early. I got my first offer when I was 14, not even 15 yet. The Texas Rangers offered me to be a pitcher, and so getting that first offer, you're oh, why would I need to go to college?
Yeah.
You kind of already have it there. So I had a bunch of offers, kind of got to choose where I wanted to go. And when I turned 16, I signed with the Cardinals, and yeah.
So it was just like you just played and you just got a bunch of like, it's a lot different. I wouldn't talk about the draft process with you, you know, but it's a lot different than like the draft process. You just like played and then you got an offer.
Yeah, pretty much you play, and no matter where in the world you play, there's going to be scouts coming to watch. Like I remember playing a local game, just like in my local field, like it didn't even have dirt on the field, it's just a grass field. And that was like, because they're international scouts, they paid to watch you. You have like 4 or 5 like scouts watching like kids who like can't even pitch properly. Like they grew up playing cricket and they like bowl the ball at you like this and you're hitting, and like they're professional scouts, so they kind of monitor you. You're pretty much from when you're 14 till when you can sign, and yeah.
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I know you committed to Minnesota. One thing I always like ask people, why do you think like high schoolers commit to like college a lot earlier in baseball than like any other sport? Because like I've seen guys commit when they're freshmen, 8th grade, but you don't see that in football or basketball.
Yeah, I actually had a talk with someone about that last night. Basically, there's the rules in college baseball now where the player has to call the coach. The coach cannot contact the player until September 1st of his junior year. So I was in I think the first or second year of that rule. So I went through. I had to call the coach. You could look back in my text streams and it'd be all these texts that I sent and absolutely 0 texts that the other coach sent. And basically just, I'm going to call you at 5 p.m. tonight. And those rules got put in place so people wouldn't commit early, and honestly, it didn't change a thing because there's loopholes. The college coach can go talk to your high school coach. Your high school coach just talks to you. They can still offer you. You can't go on and visit, but you can do a camp. Like I did a camp at a college that cost me $10, and I'm so sorry. That's my phone. I'm so sorry. So anyway, I did a camp at a college that was costing me $10, and I was the only kid at the camp. So yeah, it was just a visit, and that was before September 1st, my junior year. So there's loopholes around it, and everybody knows about these loopholes.
Yeah.
The reason why so many kids commit early is because it goes both ways. Kids commit early because coaches look at kids early. So when a coach looks at a freshman and he offers him, and then a kid commits, now that chews up a bunch of money that the coach has. So now the other players who are not committed, they kind of have to commit earlier because that money just starts getting chewed up. And so what I was going through, because I made my decision in November my junior year, there was coaches that were like, hey, we need to make a decision within the next couple weeks, next month, because we're almost out of money and we have more offers on the table, which is fair. They have to fill their recruiting class. And so it's just the same thing, which is really hard because there's a lot of turnover in college baseball. There's a lot of coaches getting fired, a lot of coaches moving to other schools. And so when your coaching staff, isn't there, this coaching staff you commit to isn't there when you're at the school, it gets a little fishy. There's not as much commitment in there. So I've known a lot of people from Colorado at least that just kind of went through that, and it's been unfortunate for some of them. But it's ruthless. It's tough.
And it's like one of the only sports you see high schoolers, 18, 19-year-old kids, go to professional ranks and don't have to go to college. I want to talk about pro ball for both of you, but the last one with you is like, what was the draft process like for you? And then the second part of the question is, how hard was it to not go to Minnesota and play here and do this?
Yeah, so my draft process started summer of COVID, so 2020. I got a text from an area scout. He was like, hey, can you fill out this questionnaire? That was it. I had surgery 2 weeks later. I didn't tell him. I didn't know I was gonna have surgery. Had surgery 2 weeks later. Didn't hear anything basically until I can remember the first week of March. I think it was March 5th. Ended up 90 to 93 that day. Surprised me. So I think it surprised everybody. And then just kind of kept going up after that. And that's when more scouts came to watch the games. So that's when it kind of got, I don't know what the right word for this is, but kind of aggressive with scouts coming in. And filled out all my draft portal stuff online, questionnaires, had all the talks with the scouts. And then finally draft day after the season, And sorry, what was the other part of your question?
Oh, how hard was it like not go to Minnesota
Yeah.
and end up going pro?
It's tough. I remember on draft day I was texting my would have been roommate at Minnesota, and I was like, "Hey man, it looks like I'm going." And then 2 minutes later, I'm like, "Hey dude, I'm not going anymore."
Yeah.
It's tough, man, because you have a commitment to that school. You've been on Zoom calls. I never went on an official visit with those people because of COVID, but I was on Zoom calls with them. I was like, I want to go win a national championship with these guys. I knew a lot of guys because I played against them in high school on that team. But sometimes it kind of felt a little bit selfish, but I knew it was the best route for me.
Yeah. So this one's kind of like both of you guys' answers. Like, what's your guys' transition? I know you guys both came in a little bit different times, but what's your transition like pro ball been? You went like right before COVID, like a couple days before, right?
Yeah. So, my first experience with pro ball was I was 16 when I signed, and they sent me to the Dominican Republic. We have a complex down there for like the young international players.
Mm-hmm.
So because you're too young to play in America, there's like a loophole, and you can play in the Dominican, right? So that's where you get all your like first training in. So it was different. No one spoke English. Everyone like pitched a lot faster than Australia. Like everyone was so much better of an athlete. So that was tough. Did that, and then come back. Spring training was in March. My first spring training was 2019, so right before COVID hit. So COVID had just gotten really bad in Australia, and I thought, oh, this is good, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah.
There's no COVID in America. Get here, get the spring training, 3 days of like hard practice, and then basically they said, look guys, I don't know if you've seen Twitter, but like we're going home. And so pretty much flew 26 hours here, got here 3 days, and then flew back straight away. And then pretty much spent 12 months at home.
How do you stay like ready for that?
Well, the thing is they didn't tell us. Like they told me, they said, hey, look, it could be 2 weeks time and you'll be back here. Like the cases could clean up. So they just said, look, at any moment be ready. So I stayed ready for 12 months. Wish I didn't, because you can go and like do other fun things, like do whatever you want. I should have graduated high school that year, but I left because I was coming over to the States. So just didn't really get to live it up, but worked hard, and then come back for last year, 2020.
Yeah. So what's your transition like? I know that you just got drafted last summer, but what's that been like for you?
I think similar to him a little bit, just there's not a whole lot of guys that speak English. I think that's been the biggest part. I think a lot of the coaches obviously, but a lot of the players don't. And it's a whole different style of baseball, especially coming from high school. It's just hitters are different, pitchers are different. I'm not saying in a good way or a bad way, but you kind of feel like in high school, especially like your league, you're in Colorado, you're like, okay, I'm one of the dudes. And you come out here and you're like, well, everybody's a dude. It's kind of humbles you really quick. And so I think the biggest thing that I've learned out here is you got to play with confidence. You might even have to trick yourself a little bit with it. You could get rocked for however many innings, and then the next inning you can't go out there like a dog with tails in its legs. You just gotta act like you're the best again, and then just at some point something's gonna click hopefully, and you just gotta keep on the routine. You don't want to get behind anybody, and you want to I don't know how to phrase this, but you want to keep doing stuff that gets you better, like every day, like go in, get better every day, and then just at some point, I think that'll truly separate you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested because you guys, both are out in the field together. How do you guys like communicate with, you said a lot of guys, there's a language barrier. How do you guys go out there and, try to play a successful, game together as a team?
I think the thing is like kind of play it like a little bit of a game, like you just mess around with them. You guys have, like, lucky I went to the Dominican and I learned a lot of Spanish while I was there. So I think out of like the white guys that speak English, like I'm kind of a bridge, but kind of know at the same time. But you just have fun with it. Like we're all baseball players, all play the same sport. So it's actually kind of cool, the fact that we can get along and not even know the same words as each other.
My 3 years of Spanish in high school is kind of like It's taken me so far.
Yeah, I did 3 years Spanish. I couldn't tell you like 5 words. I know.
And then when you really have to do it, like when it's like, all right, I really need to like get this. Doesn't matter how much Spanish work you did, you always forget.
No, because I can't conjugate a sentence. Like they act like they're just gonna be fluent. Like yes, I know words, but like that doesn't help me. Like yeah, I can say banana, but like that doesn't help me anything. Like that's what I always found that so interesting. Because the more I've done this, the more and more their guys are like, it's nice to like talk to people that like actually speak English and like everything. So,
Yeah.
So you guys both had spring training this year. I know it wasn't. Was this your first or no second?
This past spring training was my third.
Third?
Yeah.
So what was your like spring training experience like? And do you guys get to like feed off a lot of the older guys, like the MLB guys? Do you talk to them a lot, or?
Yeah, I think Willis, like me and Willis were actually talking about this the other day. There's always a couple big league, like we're around the big leaguers all the time.
Yeah.
They'll play in our minor league spring training games to get extra work. But we were saying there's always 1 or 2 guys that really love to help young guys.
Yeah.
Mine was Yadier Molina, the catcher. Because I'm a catcher, he's always with us.
He's a legend too.
Yeah, he's a legend.
Yeah.
He's the go. He's literally the go. And every morning I'd walk into the batting cage to do some catching work, and he's the first one in there, like stretching. Like you can tell he's old and all that, but he's the first one in there getting ready, and he'll be the first one to pick you up, like help you out, or like congratulate you when you've done something good, So I know Yadier was like my big one. And especially the big league coaches too, they're happy to walk past you and go, oh, hey bud, like how you doing? They might not know your name, but at least like they're always there to kind of help however they can.
Yeah, because you guys are all still part of the same organization.
That's right, yeah.
Was there a guy for you?
Yeah, so Dakota Hudson was in rehab last year, so I met him. I just kind of asked him a bunch of questions last year. He asked me questions, which was really great. And then once I got to spring training this year, one of our coaches put me in contact with him again. We had like a 30-minute talk just about throwing breaking balls, even just arm action, because we have similar arm actions. And that's been really great. I think, I don't think there's really a sense of, like competitiveness between the players, like, oh, we're competing for the same spot. It's just guys trying to help each other. You play catch with a guy, he's giving you feedback on your breaking ball stuff just as you're this to him. And then another guy who was actually in rehab with Dakota last year, so they're both at the complex, is Jake Walsh. Same thing, I think Jake knew him really well too, just asking him questions. He's now a big leaguer, got called up last week. And so, and then there's a lot of guys with a lot of knowledge, whether it's in rehab or just in spring training groups, so you just gotta pick everybody's brain.
Yeah, I think that's something like as a fan, like when I get to go, it's cool to see like everyone's so close knit, and like you can tell it's an experience like no other to go to like spring training. You never get that close to the players and everything. So I was wondering what your guys' experience was with that. So right now I know you guys you just came from like a game. You play like inter squad, right? Is that what you guys do right now?
Yeah. So we still play against other teams. They still count score and all that, but it doesn't count to like stats and numbers and all that. So we still play. We played against the Astros today. And it didn't really count because if the pitcher strikes 20 pitches in an inning, they'll just roll it over and you go, all right, roll it. So then if you're on offense, you jump on defense, and so it's a pretty relaxed but still competitive game. Yeah.
So my biggest question is like, what's next for you guys, and like, what's your guys' individual like goals right now?
I think the ultimate goal is like to get moved up. That's everyone's dream, is to keep taking it one level at a time. You can look at the big leagues all you want, but like really there's still 5 or 6 teams we need to get promoted to, and then go from there. So I think you probably say the same thing. Like probably stay healthy, number 1. Number 2, work to that next one.
What do you guys notice like a big difference? Like, cause see, I mean, I've had time for tennis to see the different levels of the sport. Like, there's the futures, and then there's challengers, and then there's the world tour. Guys like we talked about, Kyrgios, Federer. Like, there, like you can see there's a difference, but it's not that big. But do you guys notice like a difference? Like, and what is that difference that you guys notice between like a guy like there and there?
I think the biggest thing is consistency. I feel like everybody in our organization can throw a good changeup. It's just all about, can you throw a good changeup when you want to throw a good changeup? same thing with every other pitch. I think big leaguers are big leaguers because they're really good at baseball, and they can do it basically every day. Yeah, that's what I think about it.
Yeah, everyone's raw. Like in our level, all the pretty much everything's the same. Like guys throw the same speeds, everyone has the same stuff. People have the same amount of power, sometimes more. But like you said, it's the ability to just wake up and do it every day.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we talked about when I was talking to guys, they said this is like the time when they have a lot more like free time than they would normally have. Like, what are you guys up to like in your free time when you're not on the field?
What are we doing? Beach a lot.
Yeah.
We tried fishing.
You have a car?
Yeah, that was the biggest thing. I didn't have it last year, but this year it's been huge.
It's like college. I need a car in college.
It's-
You're stuck on.
It's a lifesaver. Like before Willis got here,
Yeah.
I couldn't travel anywhere. If I wanted to go somewhere, I'd Uber.
Yeah.
And then I want to save money, so I wouldn't Uber, and I wouldn't go places. But this year, we drive out. We've been going to hockey games.
Yeah.
The Florida Panthers.
Yeah, I'm trying to go to. I think to play a night game 2.
Yeah, I'll play tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big games.
Yeah, so we've been going to some of those. Gonna fall into the Stanley Cup. So.
Yeah, hopefully we can beat Tampa.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's Battle 4. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But since coming to America, is there what's one thing they have here they don't have in Australia that's your favorite thing?
Favorite thing? I don't really know. Definitely food. Like the food here, the fast food and stuff. We only have McDonald's, KFC, Subway.
You have Chick-fil-A?
Nothing. We only have those 3, and we have Hungry Jack's. Willis always laughs about it. We have Hungry Jack's, which is Burger King, but they changed the name. It's the same restaurant, but that's all we have. So when I come here, I pig out on Chick-fil-A, Chipotle. Chipotle is gas, obviously. And Outback, I don't know what Outback's about. We don't even have blooming onions in Australia. That's just some BS that they made up. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's something that I always wonder because, athletes top of their sport. I mean, people don't talk about it enough, but I feel like there's a lot of you got to deal with a lot of pressure. I mean, for me, my biggest pressure was first tryout in high school, that varsity tryout. I knew I was better than most of the team, but it was still making that was the most nerve-wracking. How do you guys deal with the pressure, and what was that one moment for you guys where you had to deal with it and you overcame that? What was the biggest?
I think that goes back to playing with confidence. It's just like I said, you gotta trick your mind and believe that you're the best. But I don't think I've really hit that point where I might be going through it right now. Just learning pro ball, it's tough. I mean, it's a mental struggle, it's a physical struggle, and I think I'm kind of going through that right now. Probably what he experienced in his first couple spring trainings and his first years in pro ball. But yeah, I'll let him answer that. He's probably over there answering me.
I think it's just realizing that it's just a game. Ultimately, we're privileged to just play it. We chose to do it, and it's meant to be a fun thing. You play baseball or you play tennis because you love it.
Yeah.
It's not just because you have to play it.
Yeah.
So you ever find that you're in a spot where, and I'm the biggest culprit of it. I was always a stress head and.
Yeah.
Lots of performance anxiety and stuff, but once you begin to realize that there's more out there than just the game you're playing, you enjoy it, and when you enjoy it, nothing matters. So.
And I think it's those hard moments when you are in them. It's hard to get out, but once you get out of it, you learn so much, and it's beating one barrier. It's you got to get through that first barrier, and then it's good to go after. That was the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like today I sat through a 3-hour game just on the bench. It sucks sometimes, and then you got to realize that, okay, 1, you chose to be here, 2, there's a lot worse options out there. I look at my friends and they're all in school and they're having a good time, and they're also complaining to me how hard class is too. And it's fun not being in class. It's fun being able to go to the beach every single day, and it's fun getting to play baseball for a living too.
Yeah, it's something not a lot of people get to play. The last question I always finish off with it. So when your guys' baseball careers are over down the line, how do you guys want to be remembered? It's a hard question.
I mean, I guess the ultimate goal for everybody is to be a Hall of Famer. I think you want to be the best. I think that's what I want to be perceived as from the fans, but from guys like Jake and future teammates, you know, a competitor, a good teammate, and just someone that they can trust and be around. I think that's huge, just having people around you that that you just want to be around. I think that's the biggest part.
Yeah, pretty similar answer. Obviously, you know, like you want to be on a winning team. You want to win a ring. You want to go to the Hall of Fame, all that. And, but obviously, like being a good person comes first. You know, you want to be that guy that, like you said, there's a lot of trust. Like when you're on the field with other people, you have to trust in someone else to get a job done for you. So definitely trust is a big one, and just being the best guy you can be. You know?
Yeah, no, I found out I was interviewing a guy on the PJ Tour about to play the PJ Championship. Actually, he's playing now. He said if he can end the day like the gatekeeper, like everyone that works there, if they can say, hey man, he was a good guy at the end of the day, that's like what he wants to be remembered as. And that was like, a guy who's competing for majors and different things. Like that's what matters the most to me. So I found that very interesting. One other thing I was just thinking about, because a lot of like high school, college, middle school athletes watch this. What would be like one piece of advice you would give an athlete, trying to make college, trying to make the varsity team, or trying to eventually go pro?
It's like obviously that's like the ultimate question that everyone asks themselves, and I think it's just believing what you got. There's people you play against, you see really good players say you go to a tryout and you see all these kids that are like, wow, that guy's good, he has this, he has that. But if you just show up and you go, this is what I got and I'm gonna play the way I need to play, then that's how you win games too, like if you see another team and you're like, oh, they have this player, they have that. But if you just do what you do best and just worry about yourself, I think that's ultimately all you can really do. That's in the moment. When you're outside of the moment, obviously, before you go to a tryout, you can put in the extra hours, do what you need to do to make that moment yours. So.
My advice to a high schooler during a tryout, I would say just don't give up. You got 4 tryouts in high school, you got 4 years, and a lot can change in those 4 years, especially in high school. What you're looking like when you're 14 versus 18 is totally different. I can testify to that. I think I grew 6 inches and gained 65 pounds in high school, And there's a lot of kids who are really good when they're 14, who aren't that good when they're 18.
They stop growing.
Exactly. So I feel like for myself, I don't think I gave up on myself because, you can look back and see how many MRIs I had in high school. A lot of setbacks, and I feel like it would have been really easy to say, okay, this isn't for me, I don't want to keep doing this. And I saw it a lot with, people close to me where it's like, they realized that they weren't the best anymore, and they kind of gave up on it, which really hurts me because it's like we grew up thinking, oh, we're going to go pro together, we're going to go to college together, and then it was just like 2 different paths for us. And so, honestly, just stay true to you. You're going to get jealous of other people at some point. Someone's always going to be better than you. But I would say use it as motivation rather than using it as self-pity.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I've seen that at the college level. Like this year was the biggest learning curve, and I can attest to that. Boys, I really appreciate you guys coming on. It means a lot. I wish you guys the best of luck. Definitely gonna try to catch a game soon. So thank you guys.
Yeah. No, thanks for having us.
Yeah.